Happy holidays, everybody, and Tony here with a tribute to a Christmas special from a classic cartoon I've been loving ever since I was a little boy. I'm talking about Mr. and Mistletoe from Popeye the Sailor, which were from the shorts produced by Paramount Pictures Famous Studios and which was released on September 30, 1955. This was directed by Isidore Sparber. It was written by Jack Mercer. The scenics were done by Joseph Domergue, and it was animated by Al Eugster and William B. Pattengill. I've been also growing up with the Famous Studios version of Popeye, and I also loved it for its much smoother and cleaner animation, as well as the fluidity I enjoyed so much in terms of the characters' movements and how it was able to minimize on the ad-libs. Now, unlike the Fleischer Studios version in which ad-libs were used and the animation style was a little bit cruder, the Famous Studios version managed to polish up on the animation a bit as well as the voice acting. Regardless, I loved these two versions just the same. It's just that the Famous Studios version is just a bit smoother and a little bit more polished than the Fleischer Studios version. I remembered catching Mr. and Mistletoe ever since I was a kid. Though it was not as great as Season's Greetinks, let alone as memorable as that particular short, it still had something to offer in terms of Popeye's trademark violence, even though it was a lot more toned down in the Famous Studios version. And at least there was still that memorable formula of Popeye and Bluto fighting for the love of Olive. Added into the mix is the inclusion of Popeye's nephews, well, 3 out of 4 of his nephews, Pip-Eye, Pup-Eye, and Poop-Eye, who are excited for Santa Claus to come with the presents. And yes, this is also the Popeye Christmas special in which Santa Claus is included. Though he is not seen in the flesh, Bluto does end up donning the garb of jolly old St. Nicholas in order to have olive oil all to himself, all the while trying to make sure that Popeye is out of the picture, and he is not completely subtle about that. And the moment where Bluto's disguise was about to be exposed was when he mounted the dynamite at the top of the Christmas tree with Popeye lighting it, thus blowing him away from the house and into a frozen lake, thus freezing him. And as Bluto triumphantly and menacingly laughs, his fake beard burns and it reveals his real beard as a chase ensues between him and Olive Oil. And the chase scene is definitely great thanks to the fantastic usage of cartoon physics. What with Olive Oil riding the tricycle, at first departing from the living room, but going into like a spare room in which she and Bluto are running across the walls, and you can definitely tell that the cartoon physics being implemented are really fun, really exciting, and they definitely kept me on the edge of my seat, which was just absolutely fun to watch. And Popeye getting himself out of that frozen lake with his pipe and returning back to the house to eat up his spinach, which was supposedly for his nephews, was also rather fantastic, as even though there was not a lot of elaborate punching and kicking, just like to be expected from the older Fleischer shorts, at least with this one, we had the satisfaction of Bluto being beaten with stars, decorating the Christmas tree, and Popeye donning Santa's garb, and of course his nephews know fully well that it's him because they don't fool him, as he was Popeye thanks to his signature voice, as well as being a lot smaller than Santa Claus. So even though Mr. and Mistletoe is nowhere near the greatness of Season's Greetinks, it still has a lot of moments where I was able to have a great laugh, especially coming from the many times Bluto tries to get Popeye out of the way so that he could have Olive all to himself, as well as the chasing that ensued. And of course, the ending was also sweet. Sure, the inclusion of Popeye's 3 out of 4 nephews, Pip-Eye, Pup-Eye, and Poop-Eye, was kind of superfluous, but at least with their addition, they at least could not wait for Santa Claus to come, which was also the motivation for Bluto to don the garb of jolly old St. Nicholas in order to have olive oil all to himself. So it at least served a plot purpose to keep the plot going along. Otherwise, all the focus could have been concentrated on Popeye, Olive, and Bluto, and the short would not have changed. But at the end of the day, I'm not complaining. At least Mr. and Mistletoe managed to have a lot of room for laughs and a lot of room for how much enjoyment I managed to get from this particular short. And it also says something about the voice talent. I definitely love Jack Mercer as Popeye. He definitely embodied this iconic sailor with his gruff voice, and he was able to make a name for himself in that particular role. Ergo, he defined the role with everything he's got. I also love Mae Questel as Olive Oil, probably more than Bonnie Poe and Margie Hines combined. It's just that her high, nasally soprano voice managed to make me associated with this particular character. And I also thought that her delivery was a lot of fun to listen to. She definitely brought a lot of excitement and bubbliness and personality to Olive Oil that I think she managed to do so in a way that made her stand out as an actress. Jackson Beck is actually alright as Bluto. Sure, he's nowhere near William Pennell's more bosso and more rough and tough and more menacing voice, but Jackson Beck's voice does have a lot of menace, peril, and danger to be found, especially when Bluto laughs, thus making him a threat to Popeye and a danger to Olive, and he managed to portray that side of Bluto so convincingly. So, what more can I say about Mr. and Mistletoe? It was still a very enjoyable Popeye Christmas short that, even though it did not reach the aspirational heights of Season's Greetinks, let alone Let's Celebrate, which I hope to cover next week, it managed to leave me with a lot of laughter and a lot of excitement, all thanks to not only Popeye, Bluto, and Olive in terms of their character constellations, but also the masterful voice work done by Jack Mercer, Jackson Beck, and Mae Questel. And for those of you who caught Mr. and Mistletoe from the Famous Studios version of Popeye the Sailor, what'd you think of it? Was there a scene you really enjoyed, whether it be the chase scene or Bluto disguising himself as Santa Claus? Did you feel that this short was just as good, if not better, than Season's Greetinks? Or did you feel like this short did not really resonate with you? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's it for my tribute to Mr. and Mistletoe from Popeye the Sailor. Tune in much later where I do a tribute on Gift Wrapped from Looney Tunes, starring Granny, Hector the Bulldog, Sylvester the Cat, and Tweety Bird, which is actually one of my most favorite Looney Tunes Christmas specials of all time. So until then, happy holidays, everybody!